Hello and welcome to my final video reflection for SPED 513. So this reflection is just going to talk about the course in whole. So number one, what did you learn about your topic of interest? So my topic of interest was researching how students with disabilities struggled mentally and academically during the COVID-19 shutdown, and how we can better implement education for students with disabilities in the future if we do have to go to some sort of virtual learning again, if some schools are staying virtual. So I learned a lot about it. I learned that not only were my students struggling, but students across the nation were struggling with the shutdown. I was very lucky. I work in a small school district, so I had a really good one-on-one relationship with all of my students. And I was able to carry that through virtual learning. I know in bigger schools, that was not the case. I learned about a lot of students who really struggled worse than my students did. So I kind of feel blessed in that area. But I did learn that certain students with disabilities did not get the services that they needed. They did not have as good of a relationship. They did not have parents like I was lucky enough to have that helped their students through this. I learned that students and parents had a bit of a relationship headbutt. Parents didn't want to be put in the teacher role because, first of all, they're parents. So I think that was really difficult for a lot of families. Number two, do you plan on continuing further research in this area? Maybe completely honest. Research is not my thing. I want to continue to do research in the area, but I will not be further conducting research. I am more of a read and put into action rather than do the research to find the action. Number three, has this course motivated you to become a researcher in the field of education? It has motivated me to do more research in the field of education to better help my students and my students' individual needs. It has not motivated me to actually conduct research. Like I said, I am more of a read and do rather than a research and find kind of person. So I am motivated to find more research that can help, dive into more research that can help my students' individual needs, to better put in practice more evidence-based practices to help my students with their goals and their needs. So it has motivated me in a way to look more into research, but not conduct research. Number four, discuss your top 3 takeaways from this course. Takeaway 1, I do not envy anybody who conducts and does research. There is so much tedious work that goes into it, especially in those research designs, methods, procedures, figuring out qualitative versus quantitative, all of that. I do not envy those people, and I will take more appreciation for the research that I do read and the research that helps me, and giving credit to those people who have done the research because it is not an easy job. Number 2, there is so much research in the field of education out there that needs to be done. In my field, I plan on staying in the field of special education throughout my career. So I want to look into more of that research and do what's best for my students and their families and our school as a whole. And number 3 takeaway, that I'm not a researcher. I'm gonna be completely honest. Like I said, I will rather read and put into play than actually conduct the research. It is so tedious and so much work and thought and procedures and processes that go into it. So that's a takeaway that I have taken away, that I am not one to conduct the research, but I am one to appreciate the research that I have, the research that I can put into practice in my classroom with my students. So this course has really helped me with that, and I am super glad that I took it, and I found my true calling is not in research, but rather in teaching and implementing the research that has already been done. So I really enjoyed this course. I hope you guys all did too, and I look forward to furthering my education in special education.